50 verses 16 to 25. Evam prapattikam chakram nanuvartayati gayaha aghayurindriya ramaha mogham pata sajivati yasvatmarati devasya atmasrittasya manavaha atmanyeva cha santushtaha tasya karyam na vidyate naiva tasya krihenastha na kriheneha kaschana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kaschidasthavya pashayah tasmadasakta sadanam karyam karma samachara asakto yacharan karma paramapnoti purushah karmanaiva hi samsiddhim aspita janakadayah lokasangrahamevati sampashyam kartumarhasi yadyacharati shrestah tattadevetaरो janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanuvastate name arthati kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptamavaptavyam vartayeva cha karmani yadi yaham navarteyam jatu karmanya sandritah mama vatmanuvartante manushya pata sarvashah utsite yurime lokaha nakuryam karma chetanam sankarasya jakartasyam upahanyami matrajaha sakta karmanya vidvamsah yatha kurvanti bharata kuryam vidvamsah saktah chikiro loka sangraham.
Verse number 18, he says, for him there is no interest in whatever here, in what is done or what is not done, nor does he depend upon any being for any object. He is continuing the description of the man who has no obligatory duties to perform. A state where he need not do anything. A wonderful state where obligations ceases to exist. A person who is of desires, a person who is chasing the world with desires will never be able to accept the stance of there is nothing for him to be done. You cannot accept it. You will say, no, how is it possible? At least doesn't he have the obligation to come and help us out? Necessarily he has to do something. Impossible to accept that. For him there is nothing to be done. For us it is impossible to conceive of a state where how can there be something where he need not do anything? How is it possible? At least he should be correct. At least he should come out and help us. No. How can he not do anything? not doing is a state of death. For all practical purposes, this man is already dead. So what is he going to do? For all practical purposes, the enlightened master is dead. The ego is gone. Absolutely no. See, what is life? What is an individual? What is the individual? Ego. What is enlightenment? The death of the ego. So for all practical purposes, he says, I am gone. I am gone long back. What are you saying that I have to do or I don't have to do? You follow? For him, there is no interest whatsoever in what is done or what is not done. We always have these two things, no? Something is done, something is yet to be done. இவ்வளோ முடிச்சிட்டோம், இன்னும் இவ்வளோதான் பாக்கி இருக்கு. Something else is, always we have something is done, something is yet to be done. What is not done? What is not done in the sense of yet to be done. So that having yet to be done keeps the ego alive, keeps the individuality going. Nothing to be done is very excruciating. Carefully follow. The nature of ego is such that it will have so many things to do, but it will like to say, I will not do. The nature of the ego, understand it like that. You pluck everything away from the ego and say, you don't have to do anything. Just go and sit in one corner. Will you like it? Oh, how is it possible? I will be self-sufficient. At least I will do my own. Yeah. At least I will walk on my own legs at least. At least I will do my own. At least I will do my own cooking. At least I will do my own washing. The ego will never agree that something has to be done, but I will choose not to do. Ego likes that. If it is taken away from you, the ego will not like. Are you able to understand or are you able to follow the difference? The ego says, there are some things to be done, but I choose not to do. I refuse to do. It is unacceptable to the ego where there is nothing to be done. It's unacceptable. How much ever the ego says, I don't want to do, I just want to relax. Relaxation itself becomes so tensed, because it will be so tense that you have to be relaxed. Nor does he depend upon any being or any object. All that he is saying is he is enjoying absolute fulfillment. That's all. An absolute state of fulfillment where he is not in need of anything. He doesn't feel the need to do anything. For him there is no interest whatever here. Whatever here means in this world. Whatever here in this world. And what is it? What is done or what is not done. This is the quality of the ego. If you don't understand this, in the 16th chapter, he talks about the Asuric nature. Who's an Asura? He says, this much is done, this much is yet to be done. All this he defines it as Asuric nature in the 16th chapter. And this man is opposite of an Asura, no? He is an enlightened man, no? Therefore, he has nothing to, he has no interest in what is done or what is not done. Doing implies the urge to do anything comes from, the urge to do anything comes from a restlessness. The urge to do anything always comes from a kind of restlessness. That's why you wake up in the morning, you need to have so many things, to do. Otherwise there is a kind of, so actions arises out of a kind of restlessness. The same person will say, I don't want to do, I just want to sleep. Understand it. It's very, very interesting. You will feel like sleeping when you have so many things to do. When you have nothing to do, you will wake up in the morning 4 o'clock not knowing what to do. Try it out. You can, then experiment, but now you will understand. In your own life, you have something to do now, you cannot wake up. You have nothing to do, you will wake up. The man will go on a holiday and he will wake up very early in the morning, because nothing, it just pulls you out. It just drives you into doing what is to be done or what is not to be done. You follow? Actions, the urge comes to act out of a inner restlessness. That inner restlessness is what is known as void, is what is known as ignorance, is what is known as a void, an emptiness. A person who is absolutely fulfilled, where is the restlessness that is going to drive him to action? There is nothing. There is nothing for him to act. Number 2. Action is the medium to achieve something. When you have already achieved, no action is possible. No action is possible. Action implies that you have to achieve something, because action is the tool for attainment. Action is the tool for achievement. So when you have to achieve something, or when you always have something to achieve, something to attain, something you want, something you need, action will follow automatically. You cannot be inactive. In this case, on the enlightened man, he has nothing to achieve, he has nothing to attain, for he has attained the highest already. After attaining which, after attaining that, nothing more to be achieved. After seeing that, nothing more to be seen. After hearing that, nothing more to be heard. He goes on and on and on. The Upanishad. After seeing that, nothing to be seen. Not literally, you can't see it, but what it means is how every senses, every aspect of the mind, every aspect of the intellect ceases to exist, because nothing more to do. Action arises out of a sense of unfulfillment, restlessness. Action arises out of wanting to achieve something, attain something. The very wanting to achieve itself will create so much of so much of tension, so much of stress, that you choose not to act. 2 types of actions. Doing is one type of action, not doing is also another kind of action. You choose not to do. So 2 types of actions. One is you choose to do, another is you choose not to do. That is also another kind of action. But nevertheless, a human being is constantly bound by action. constantly bound by action. No action. Number 3, action produces a result. Action will necessarily produce a result. Karma will result in a phala. It's the law. You can't do a karma and not reap the fruit. That karma itself arises from the deepest philosophical core. The need for karma, the necessity of karma arises from ignorance. Avidya. Ignorance of not knowing your true nature. Ignorance of not understanding the fulfillment. The moment you understand your true nature, the seed goes out. The root goes out. Most of in the case of an ignorant man, action is done only for the phala, the fruit. Therefore, it is futile to tell the man, act without expecting the fruit. Oh, this is a very good technique to get the fruit, no sir. You follow how the mind works? Don't worry about the fruit. Oh, correct. The very good technique to get the fruit is not to worry about the fruit. It goes into that. It gets into that cycle of always acting only for the fruit. Very good technique. Oh, all other worldly techniques are not giving the fruit, but Gita's technique really is a very good technique to get the fruit. What is the technique? Don't be worried about don't be anxious about the fruit. What will happen? You will not get the fruit, na? You will leave, no? Okay, if I not worry about the fruit, what will happen? Then you will get the fruit, na? Very good. It looks like a very good formula. In this man's case, the fruit itself is already understood as ignorance. If action is driven by ignorance, the fruit is also ignorance. Action is driven by ignorance, but fruit is real. How is it possible? If action is driven by ignorance, that which comes out of ignorance has to necessarily be ignorant. So, he has understood that no point in chasing any fruit, because the fruit is, just as action is a product of ignorance, the fruit is also another modification of ignorance. He drops everything. So when he drops the fruit, action also gets dropped all by itself. Reach the perfect state. What is that perfect state? No interest whatever in what is done or what is not done, yet to be done. No plans for today, no plans for tomorrow. That's what he said. What is today something has to be done, and something has to be done for tomorrow. Nor does he depend upon any being for any object. The second thing. Nor does he depend upon any being for any object. The closest way that you can understand this is the example that he gives. what understanding and what interest you will have about the dream after you have woken up. That's the closest comparison with which you can get a glimpse of what they are talking about. What interest you will have in something from which you have woken up. You have woken up from the dream. What interest you will have in the dream? Nalla dreams are helptu vittaanga. I want to go back into the sleep to continue the dream. People do all that. Yeah, people do a very good dream. At least continue the dream for a while. If you have woken up, what interest you will have in the dream? If you are interested in the dream, it means you have not yet woken up. But bad dreams alone we should get rid of, sir, but good part of the dream is okay, no? The asuric part of the dream we will get rid of, but the divine part of the dream we should retain, no? It means what? Fellow has still not woken up from the dream, because the same mind has divided the dream into divine and demonical, and divine and asuric, and remove all the negativities from the dream, and we should have only positivities from the dream. Good part of the dream I will keep, bad part of the dream eliminate. All the asuras eliminate. Keep only God from the dream. For the God in the dream is also part of the dream only. When you wake up, you understand that is also part of the dream. Even if one bit of it is interesting, you have not yet woken up from the dream. Now imagine you have woken up. Now imagine you have woken up but still continuing in the dream. Imagine that. Practically it happens also. Don't worry. Imagine that you have woken up and continuing to be in the dream for whatever reasons you are part of. What interest you will have in relation to everything that is happening in the dream? That's all he said. For him, there is no interest whatever here in what is done or what is not done, nor does he depend upon any being for any object. For others in the dream, still it is real only. For this man, he has. Okay. Just imagine that. Imagine the possibility. You are in the dream. Something happened in the dream, and you woke up. You have woken up and still continuing to be in the dream. That's what the enlightened man does. He has attained enlightenment, but still continues to be part of the world. Just as you have woken up and still being in the dream. What interest will you have in the dream? What interest will you have? You will have absolutely no interest in anything from the dream. You will have no interest. If you are showing a bit of interest means, but I have woken up 95%, no sir. Only 5% I have to wake up. Either you are asleep or awake. That partial awakening, partial dream and all doesn't exist. For him, there is no interest whatever here in what is done or what is not done. Nor does he depend upon any being for any object. The dependency I am not discussing, because I have already discussed a lot about the self-sufficiency, about the dependency. There is nothing more to when you say there is nothing more to say, we can go on and on and on saying. and one verse will become, it will not become Bhagavad Gita class, one verse class it will become. So you can go on and on and on for the rest of the life even talking about this one thing. Nor does he depend upon any being for any object. What will be your interest in what is done or what is not done in the dream? Will you have any interest? If you still believe there will be some interest, you are not following that example, you are not imagining properly. Imagine that you have woken up. Where? Not out of the, you have woken up, but still in the dream. Imagine that. You can imagine. Just as you are imagining all of us sitting here, no, you can imagine that also. And I can't imagine, no, you can't say that, because you have so big a fantastic imagination. How can you say that I don't know how to? You can't say I don't know how to imagine, because ignorance is a PhD in imagination. So, and the imagination, you can, this also you can imagine. What? You have woken up and continuing to be in the dream. You have woken up and continuing to be part of the dream. First question that you will ask is what? That's why the enlightened man is saying there is no world. What are you talking about? But you see the world, no. Therefore he is cooperating with you. He is saying, how is it possible that after waking up you can be part of a dream? The enlightened master looks at you and says, that's what precisely I am saying. Don't copy me, he will say. That's what I am saying. After waking up, there is no world. There is the world. But the problem is you see a world. Because of being a victim of avidya, ignorance. What is avidya? What is ignorance? The unreal is real. The real ceases to exist. Avidya, ignorance. What is ignorance? Unreal becomes real. The real ceases to exist. This is the definition of avidya, ignorance. This is the definition of ignorance. A person who is a victim of this avidya, a person who is victimized by this ignorance, he is cooperating with that ignorance and trying to explain what that state is. Yeah. Just as he is trying to cooperate, we should also try and cooperate. What is the cooperation? At least imagine this. What? A scenario where you have woken up and you are in the dream. Woken up and you are in the dream means what? You have fully understood that it has no value, it has no meaning, it has no reality behind it. With that full understanding, you are living in it. How will you relate to that? Is this verse. What interest in what is done or what is not done? Will he be keen on completing any project? Project is left, sir. Project. No, project is, no. Will he be keen on completing any project? Where he has taken up the project? The dream. Is he dependent upon anyone in the dream? Follow this question. Will he be dependent on anyone or anything in the dream to satisfy his desires of the dream? If he is a dreamer, he will be dependent. If he is a dreamer means he will be dependent. The fact that he is not he has understood. What he has understood? That he has nothing to do with the himself, who is the dreamer. He has nothing to do with himself first. Who? The dreamer. And he has nothing to do with that which is around him, the dream world. Don't start with the dream world first, as though world is something there, outside of you. Start with yourself. First thing he understands is he has nothing to do with himself. Since he has nothing to do with himself, what he has to do with the rest around? Will he be keen on completing anything? He will not be. But he has started it, no. Therefore it is his responsibility to finish. Who says all that? Others says all that. He says you sit there and complete. I am not. He says I am not responsible. Very, very difficult even is to theoretically comprehend this state. Forget about aspiring to get to that state. Even to theoretically conceive a state like this can exist, number one. Number two, to understand it as a wonderful state. First of all, you have to recognize that there is a state like that. Second thing is to understand how this state is so extraordinary, so wonderful is true. The moment he understands that, he instantly disassociates, disconnects, detaches himself. Instantly he disconnects. Instantly he disassociates. Instantly he detaches. Why? Because it's part of the dream. What is part of the dream? A fantastic phenomena, the dream. First thing, what is part of the dream? What is part of the dream? The dreamer, the subject. Only when you conceive that you are that, you can conceive of the world like that. How much ever you hear this, you will start from outside only. You can never start from inside. You follow? Part of the dream means, first thing he understands that he himself is part of the phenomena. Since he himself is part of that, the rule that applies to him is the rule that applies to everything around, because all is part and parcel of the same phenomena called the dream. And what is the nature of the dream? The nature of the dream is it exists as long as you choose to keep it alive. As it is not existing all by itself. If it is existing, someone is keeping it alive. It exists as long as you choose to keep it alive. You don't know that you are keeping it alive. That's a different story altogether. But it is not alive all by itself and you being a victim of it. It's exactly the opposite. You are keeping it alive and you become a victim of what you keep. Exactly the phenomena of avidya is this. The mind projects something and it will chase what it projects. That's why he says, it's like Ramatirtha says, it's trying to chase your own shadow. The mind projects something and then it will chase what it has projected. Therefore, how much ever you get closer, how much ever you acquire, how much ever you possess, how much ever you have everything around you, still the mind continues to project. and to go and tell that person, you have so much, no, what is your problem? The mind still continues to project. You project and you chase that which you project, and you be a victim of that chase. It means what? It means what? You are a victim of your own self. Your mind projects, and then what it projects, it will chase, and then it will be a victim of that chase. It means, இவ்வளோ பெரிய ஸ்டோரி எல்லாம் கட் ஷார்ட் பண்ணி you have to make it shorter, simple. It means you create your own problems. இது முந்தின ஸ்டெப் வரைக்கும் கரெக்ட் சார், பட் திஸ் ஸ்டெப் இந்த கன்க்ளூஷன் மட்டும் don't say that, because this conclusion I cannot accept, because you don't know about my life. It's not created by me, it is created by somebody else. You project, you chase, and you become a victim of your own projection. Impossible to convince that it is part of your imagination. This man here has understood that, as a result of which, what interest you will have in that? Absolutely no interest. What is done, or what is to be yet to be done, nor does he depend upon any object or any being, for he has attained that absolute fulfillment, that absolute self-sufficiency he has reached. He is continuing to describe that state of self-sufficiency. 19 buddy.
Tasmadasatam karyam karma samachara asakya sajan karma paramapnoti purushaha. Tasmadasatam karyam karma samachara asakya sajan karma paramapnoti purushaha.
Therefore, without attachment, always perform actions which should be done. For by performing action without attachment, man reaches the Supreme. A long intellectual appeal for action is concluded in this verse. Therefore, he started from verse number 4, the intellectual appeal for action, and he concludes here. Therefore, without attachment, always perform actions which should be done. The previous 3 verses said, for this man there is nothing to be done. Therefore, look at what he said, the previous 3 verses, and look at the conclusion that he is arriving at. Therefore, without attachment, always perform actions. What type of actions? Which should be done? Obligatory? 4 varama you tortured us. We are all waiting. When you will move to the next verse. Venkat எனக்கு மெசேஜே போட்டார் சார், இந்த வாரம் அதே வருஷா அடுத்த வருஷம் போவோமான்னு ஈவன் இல்லையா, அது மெசேஜ் கூட போட்டு கேட்டார். அவ்வளோ we spoke about, no, correct தானே, how much and now he is concluding by saying, therefore always perform actions which should be done without attachment. For by performing action without attachment, man reaches the Supreme. Previous in the verse I spoke about the man who reached that Supreme, Arjuna. You have not yet reached the Supreme. I just told you what is the state. What is that state? I told you, Arjuna, that's all. just to inspire you, so that you will be impressed to get to that state. Now that you are impressed to get to that state, what to do? Perform actions. For 4 weeks he gave us some hope that obligatory we can escape. Therefore, without attachment, always perform actions which should be done. For this is the law. By performing action without attachment, man reaches the. So he is just saying the same thing again and again in that verse. Perform actions without attachment. Perform actions without attachment in order to reach the supreme state. Perform action without attachment in order to reach the supreme state. As long as you have vasanas, as long as you have desires, you will be bound by some actions, and those becomes your obligatory actions. You will be bound by some actions. As long as you have desires, vasanas, you are bound to certain obligatory functions. You cannot avoid them. You have to fulfill them. What? Obligations. What happens is, as you choose to do your obligation, 2 disturbances. The pain of doing or the superficial temptations from outside takes you away from doing. Again I repeat. The pain of doing it or the temptations, the superficial temptations that distracts, takes you away from doing your obligatory functions. That's where he says a powerful intellect will be able to clip it and continue to do what you ought to do. Thus functioning, you reach supreme state. Follow? It's not that complicated. It's very, very easy. You have certain obligatory actions. You know what your obligations are. Most of the time, even on a relative plane, you don't need someone to come and tell you what your obligations are. More or less people know what their obligations are. The child knows the obligatory duty, what it has to do. Go to school. It knows that. No child will come and ask, what should I do today? It knows. If it asks, what should I do today? What is he saying? Any time if anyone comes and asks, what should I do? Now you understand. What? Want to escape. It's as simple as that. Don't the child know that it has to go to school? It knows. But either the pain or the distractions, either the pain of going or the distractions, the child appears to be confused. Actually, there is no confusion. He appears to be confused. Similarly, adult also appear to be confused. No confusion. Mind simply not cooperating. And that mind, what to be done? A powerful intellect will say, just powerful parent, they will say, just get up and go to school. Weak parent, no, it's okay. Cover the child with one more bed sheet and sing the lullaby and make the child to sleep. Oh, it's okay. What happened? We all went to school. What happened? Nothing happened. Therefore, you also need not. Therefore, you also need not. You can sing the lullaby and make the child to sleep. Either way. You follow? So, you don't need advice on what is what to do, what not to do, you never need advice on 80-85% of time in life. In fact, that's the divine grace. The God's grace to every human being is 80-85% they know what to do, what not to do. Even if you can stick to that, very soon you will reach the Supreme. You don't worry, you need not necessarily worry about that 15-20% of the areas where you don't have the clarity. Even if you stick to that 80% of the knowledge that you know and faithfully continue, that itself will give you enough clarity to deal with the remaining 20. If anything that is so disturbing, you go for guidance. That's all. You ask for some help. You ask for guidance. But the divine grace is such that it has not created a human being dependent upon another human being. Everyone knows what to do, what not to do. Just as he goes on asking these examples, giving these examples, Don't you know exercises is the right thing to do? Don't you know that? The answer is yes. It means what? I should be exercising. I know it, but I am not doing it. Now, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? You have not understood. You have not understood. If you are not able to do it means you have not understood. I know stealing is wrong, sir, but I can't help myself from stealing once in a while. But small innocent things only I steal. I will go to the mall and I will steal one lollipop. Otherwise, I have fully understood. I have fully understood stealing is wrong. Stealing is bad. But once in a while, I will steal only a lollipop. It doesn't matter what you steal. If you have understood, what happens? It stops. You follow? Therefore, stick to that which you know and be faithful to it. Man reaches Supreme. Make faithful use of what you have, Ramatirtha. Make faithful use of what you have, he says. Don't worry about that 15-20% where you have the doubts. And you believe as though that one or two things is what is so critical in life. And once you deal with it, everything will be taken care of. You believe like that. You believe like that. But the truth is what? Even if you stick to that 70-80% of what you know and be faithful to it, that's more than enough. When I say that's more than enough, that itself will bring a strength, that itself will bring the clarity to deal with the other. You follow? But man, wanting to avoid the obligatory actions, chooses the action based on likes and dislikes. A superficial temptation, an immediate temptation, or the pain of doing. If we can reduce the pain, I will manage, I will do, or reduce it to zero. Zero pain means now itself I will do. Your preferences conflict with your duties. Your preferences conflicts with your duties. Elsewhere he says, elsewhere in the Vedanta treatise, very beautiful statement. He says, what you like to do is opposed to what you ought to do, he says. in the book Vedanta Treatise, he says, what you like to do is opposed to what you ought to do. What is it that Arjuna ought to do? To fight. What is it that Arjuna ought to do now? He has to fight. Now, what is disturbing him? The pain of doing. Not that he has suddenly become a ahimsavadi. Not he has suddenly developed love and compassion. That he wants to, if he has truly turned compassionate, a compassionate man can never be convinced to kill. He will say, kill me, but I will not kill. Now he is not that. Arjuna is not that. He still has all the vasanas in him to fight, to kill. But he wants to avoid. And why he wants to avoid? Because of the pain involved. Because of the pain involved. Pain arises because of what? The pain arises because of the conflict. The conflict between obligation versus the immediate likes and dislikes. The pain is due to what? The conflict. Conflict results in pain. What is the conflict? The immediate likes and dislikes versus the obligations. A human being falls a victim to this. He becomes a victim to this. Victim of what? Victim of this likes and dislikes. As a result of which, he avoids the obligation. He doesn't avoid it, he will say, I will postpone it. Tomorrow I will do it. Tomorrow I will do it. Exactly like the child. Tomorrow I will go. Tomorrow. You will never say, because you need lot of courage to say no. You don't have the courage to say no also. That's why you always say tomorrow. என்னால் பண்ண முடியாது சார்னு சொல்றது you need lot of courage. நாளைக்கு பண்ணிடலாம் சார்னா that man is never going to do. You follow the difference? It's always postponed. Because postponement is delusive. What is the delusion in postponement? You are ready to do. Only, I am just waiting for the right. I am ready to do, sir. I am just waiting for the right time and conducive environment. I am just waiting. Otherwise, I am ready to. It deludes the doer. Whereas the other knows that the right time, the conducive environment is the present, the now. That's why the enlightened master goes on saying, do it now, do it now. And when he says, do it now, you become so feverish, so result oriented that even halfway through the doing, you want to stop and check whether the result is coming or not. Either way, you miss. Without attachment, perform actions. For performing actions alone, the man reaches the supreme. And it is implied here. Perform action means obligatory actions. They need not repeat it. When they say do action means, what is implied here? Do obligatory duties. Do obligatory actions. Therefore, a long intellectual appeal to action, to wake up Arjuna. The next few verses will be very interesting, don't worry. The philosophy is very bored here. Emotional appeal for action. A long intellectual appeal doesn't work, so he tries the other method. What is the other method? an emotional appeal for action. Few emotions he takes, 5-6 emotions he takes, and he uses those emotions to tell him act. Intellectual appeal for action, emotional appeal for action. Intellectual appeal is concluded. Therefore, do actions without attachment. Actions means obligatory actions. How will I know what is my obligatory action, sir? You cannot ask this question, because 80-85% you will know. People come and ask, how will I know my obligatory action? If the child were to get up in the morning and ask, what I should do today? Now what do you understand? What is my obligatory action? It's not that you are asking what to do. You are only saying, list I will not do. You tell me, I will do that. You follow? 80-85% of the time, always remember this. It's a divine grace. You will face problems only that which you can handle. You will never encounter a problem which you cannot handle. It's impossible. It's a law of life. It's a divine grace. It's a divine support. That you face difficulties, you face problems which you can handle. You will never face a problem which you cannot handle. But everyone believes that they face problems which they cannot handle. No? A simple example I'll give you. You'll understand. A maid servant, financial problems, what will be her financial problems? Will she ever have a financial problem of having to raise 5 crores? What will be her problem? Which is within that only. Supposing she comes and asks you suddenly, at the most she will ask you what? Maximum 3 months advance. Adhikmele she will not have. Even if you give her 10 months advance, she will not know. She will not know what, because you face problems only you will encounter problem which you can handle. That's a divine grace. If any situation comes above your ability, above your capacity, you will become so numb there, you will not even realize it. That's a divine support. That's a divine grace. Example, imagine the maid servant coming and asking you, 1 week I have to raise 50 lakhs, sir. I need some help. No, you will get a heart attack. No. What do you mean? Why do you 50 lakhs? No, what's you will face problem at you will never face a problem of 9,000 crores. No. You will never have a problem of having to raise 9,000 crores. Yeah. Vijay Mallya only have to raise. He will face problem at his level. You will follow? It will never happen where you are faced with the problem and you do not know how to handle it. It's impossible. That's how every human being is made self-sufficient. Every human being is designed self-sufficient. You may clarify, that is different. Carefully follow. You may still go for advice, you may still go for guidance, you may still want to clarify, that is different. But you will face it only at you can handle it. You will never face a problem which you cannot handle. But terminal diseases Yeah, first I know. Terminal disease, sir. As long as you have a body, full stop. As long as you have a body, you will have disease. You can't put conditions to the body and say, common cough and cold is allowed once in 10 years. Rest of the diseases are not allowed. You can't put, okay, I am very charitable, sir. Once in lifetime, one cough and one cold is acceptable. As long as you have a body will be diseased, and that body fights it. Where it fights and conquers, it will conquer. Where it can't, it will simply say thank you and leave. What is it that you are not able to handle in this? அதுக்கு நம்ம என்ன பண்ண முடியும்? Others are not able to handle, they have to handle it. But you can. Mental problem nale, it is purely avladha. Mental problem solitale, it is purely imaginary, individualistic, and only solution is stop imagining. If imagination is the cause for the problem, what is the solution? Stop imagining. But that will take long time, sir. But in between, aid in my imagination. Support my imagination. Come along with my imagination. He will come along. But every step he takes to come along with your imagination, you will never come out of that imagination. You will go deeper into it. That's why he never aids you in that direction. You follow? You will say, all that will take long time, but help me temporarily. No. Means what? Aid me in my imagination, support my imagination, so that one day I will get out. It will never happen. Therefore, he says, mental problem nale, it's part of imagination. The real difficulties in life, the divine grace supports you. You know how to handle it. For mental problem, you have imagined it. Now, since you have imagined it, it is wholly your problem, wholly your creation. Since it is your creation, your responsibility. And what is your responsibility? Not to keep it alive, to destroy that. It's my own creation also, so I will keep it alive. Your own creation. Therefore, mercilessly, you alone should destroy it. Others will mercilessly come and cut it, but you will not. You will not accept it. You don't come and tell me what I should do. I know what I should do. You follow? Therefore, without attachment, perform obligatory actions. About obligation, if you are having a doubt, about obligations, if you are having a doubt, check whether it is the doubt or non-cooperation from the mind. Check that. Mostly it will be non-cooperation from the mind. I know my obligation, sir, but if I do my obligation, the other will be hurt. What to do? People come up with all imaginary situations. You do your obligations, other will stop interfering. If they are interfering, now you have been pampering them so long, now they are demanding some some pampering, you stop it, a question of time, the interest will shift to something else. Even there, no one can come and I am willing to do my obligations, but I am not doing only because others will get hurt. No one around you will get hurt. You are hurt that others are going to get. Again and again and again, it will come back to you. It will come back to you only. You follow? Therefore, perform actions, meaning obligatory actions without attachment. Only by performing the actions, the man attains the Supreme. The intellectual appeal for action is over. Now he starts emotional appeal for action. Why emotional appeal? When man reaches the supreme obligatory actions, these, that, no one. Arjuna wasn't convinced. What is he? What am I asking and what is he answering? He would have. He went elsewhere. So what he did, he changed the gears. What is the gear now? An emotional appeal for action. Intellectual appeal for action is wonderful. Emotional appeal for action is more wonderful. It's wonderful emotions. Wonderful emotions. He explains. How to detach from yourself. That's very easy. You can only detach from yourself, for you can't detach from anything else. How to detach from oneself? He is exactly asking how to attain moksha. The same question. How to attain moksha? That's what the question. How do I detach from myself? What is detachment? Detachment is a non-ownership, an attitude of not mine. A ownership attitude is attachment. Detachment is no ownership. Detachment is nothing but no ownership. If all is divine, if all belongs to divine, how can you say anything as yours? Detachment comes. Disease also is divine then. So you are detached from a terminal disease also. You follow? I'll give you some ways how to understand this detachment. One line of argument says all belongs to divine. And you think the ownership is transferred to divine? No. Ownership is not transferred to divine. It is only said nothing is yours. When all belongs to divine means ownership is not transferred to divine. What is said? You can't claim ownership over anything. You become detached. From one angle. This is too much to accept, sir. Okay, all belongs to divine. Neighbor's house all belongs to divine is correct. Adalla is under it. All belongs to divine. Neighbor's children belonging to all children of God. Neighbor's children and all belongs to God. But my children belongs to. Yeah, correct. All are belong to neighbor's children, God's. But my children is my children, no. Where to, what is detachment? You follow what I am saying? How the ownership is so established, and it is the ownership that brings about attachment. And ownership that brings about attachment, and that ownership itself is ignorant. Ignorance by nature. From another angle, action produces the fruit. I said karma creates phala, fruit. So who's the actual owner? Action is the actual owner, and you are not the doer. Therefore, you can't claim ownership. Are you the doer? If you say you are the doer, then you can claim. Are you able to follow? If you can't understand from the angle of divine, which is too much, which is very nice to hear. What is very nice to hear? Neighbor's children are gods. My children is mine. So that logic goes out of the window. Doesn't help us to get detached. From another angle, ownership is the fruit. Ownership is the fruit. Fruit belongs to the action. The action belongs to the doer. Are you the doer? The long intellectual appeal for action, he has explained that how you are not the doer. Since you are not the doer, you can't claim any ownership. You can't claim any right over the fruit, the phala. So even there, you get, even pursuing this angle, you get detached. And make a chivda of everything. Try everything together. Truly, somewhere you will become, sometime you will become detached. Don't try only one. Make like a khichdi of everything. From one angle, everything belongs to divine, not yours. From another angle, the doer can claim ownership. Are you the doer? You can't say you are the doer, because for you to do an action, everyone has contributed. Therefore, all fruit is everyone's. You can't claim any exclusivity. Attachment is claiming exclusive ownership. Even here you can't claim. It looks more like socialism, no? It looks more like everything belongs to everybody, then what is he asking? I'm not able to follow. What is it? Oh, tenancy. After the class I will tell you. After the class we will discuss that. I will tell you. Body tenancy. You occupy this body. You don't want to leave this body, but you have to leave. You don't want this body to get old. It gets old. You follow? Ownership implies a control. Correct? Ownership implies a control. What can you control? Only one thing you can control. What? Your ignorance, the mind. That's why I said detachment is purely individualistic only. For you can only get detached from your own self. For attachment is only to yourself. It is mirrored through the other. This is from the philosophical angle. Attachment is always only to one's own self. It is mirrored through the other. Therefore, it looks like as though you are attached to the other. In effect, you are attached to yourself. You are attached to yourself and it happens through the other. It functions through the other. Therefore, detachment is always from one's own self. Are you able to follow? Detachment is always from one's own self. For attachment is to whom? To oneself. If attachment is to oneself, detachment also to oneself only. From another angle. Is it possible to get attached to something? Impossible. You can't get attached to anything per se. You get attached to something only because it's catering to you. It suits you. The moment it stops catering to you, it stops suiting you, you just throw it away. Doesn't matter, whatever it is. Doesn't matter who the other is. It just dropped. Attachment is to what? If attachment is to the other, you will be able to accept the other. The very fact that you are not able to accept the other means the attachment is never to the other. The attachment is to one's own self and the other is catering to that. That part of it the other is catering. Therefore you say I am. Therefore it looks like you are attached. So for all practical purposes, attachment is always to one's own self. You follow? One's own self means my product. Obsession to the children is the highest because only here no one else can claim. Even husband and wife, you can't claim absolute ownership because there is a father sitting there saying my son. There is a mother sitting there saying my son. There is a brother sitting there saying my brother. There is a sister sitting there saying my sister. There is a friend sitting there saying I know him from ages. The ownership cannot be. The ownership is so distributed. That's why can't let go of the children. Why? Because the ownership is so you say it is fully inside. My womb, sir. No one shared the womb, no. How can you convince that it is not yours? And yet the truth is, it's not yours. Body produces another body. It is not yours. Nature of the body is to produce another body. What is yours in that? And even for the body to produce, it needs energy. Where the energy comes from? Energy comes from food. If you are a vegetarian, tomatoes and potatoes. Non-vegetarian, mutton and chicken. Combination, mutton, chicken, tomato, potato. So every chicken, every mutton, every tomato, every potato can claim ownership. It's the truth. That's how life laughs at you and says, what are you claiming it as yours? Because we all had a role to play in that. Ignoring all this and saying, it's mine. So follow? It's all contributed by. Okay, did you produce the tomato? No, it is produced all by. Tomato, it's coming by itself. Chicken, all happening all by itself. Unnecessarily you come in between and say, this is mine, this is not mine. Can you own anything? Understand this. You are allowed to use, but you are not allowed to own. We pay the rent here, we are allowed to use this. நான் தான் காசு கொடுத்துருக்கிறேன். என்னென்ன ஜெயந்தி மேம் எவ்வளோ சண்டை போட்டாலும் ஓனர்ஷிப் டிரான்ஸ்பரன்ஸ்லாம் கொடுக்க மாட்டாங்க இதுக்கு இல்லையா. நாங்கள் தான் பே பண்ணுறோமே, 10 வருஷமா பே பண்ணி இருக்கிறோமேனா another 500 years also you have to only always remember this. You are allowed to You are allowed to use, but never allowed to own. The very fact that you are allowed to use, you believe that it is yours. You own it. That's ignorance. See, detachment is not difficult at all. It's very, very easy. We make it so difficult. Very, very easy. Very easy but to get detached. Look at the child and see the tomatoes and potatoes and chicken and mutton. How can you get attached? Because you got energy from all that. No. Where did it come from? Where did it come from? It's not yours. This is the technique called Pratipaksha Bhavana. This is the technique called Pratipaksha Bhavana. You use the technique Pratipaksha Bhavana, you understand it clearly. Tomatoes, potatoes, like a joke I am saying, no. It's a technique of Pratipaksha Bhavana it is. Seeing the same thing from a different angle. You keep saying it is mine. See it from a different angle. You understand it as it's not yours. When you understand it as it's not yours, you are only allowed to use, but you are not allowed to own it. Now you will become responsible with it. You will handle it responsibly. Ownership makes you to believe that you can do what you want to do with it. From another hand, you follow? Responsibility comes when you know that you are not the owner, but you are just allowed to use it. Yeah. Someone has given you the car to use it. Ownership is still with them, na? You will be very careful. Your car, na? More careful, na? More careful in 3 months will lead to extreme indifference. And EMI motto after 30 months you have to pay. What a frustration. Car is not giving any joy, but you have to keep paying. EMI is now what a frustration. You follow? Can you own anything? You are allowed to use. They say use. Divine says use. But don't try to own. The very attempt you make to own it cheats you. You cheat yourself. You dupe yourself. The very attempt you make to own something which you are given, which you are allowed to use, you make an attempt to own. This is deception. This is delusion. This is ignorance. You follow? So this is how you get detached. And there are million ways you can do it like this. I am just giving some lead where you can go and develop your own, and one day sit and develop your own method. Take help from all these leads and develop your own method. You will quickly become detached. Don't try to follow someone else's way of method. It is that man's method, it helps him. But follow the technique. What is the technique? The technique of Pratipaksha Bhavana. What is the Pratipaksha Bhavana technique? That's why I gave. Body produces, nature of the body is to produce another body. You starve the body, it will not produce another body. Healthy body alone can produce. You know that? No. Healthy body will produce another body. You starve the body, make it disease, it cannot produce another body. So nature of the body is to produce another body. Can the body produce all by itself? No, it can't. It needs energy. Where does the energy come from? From the food you eat. Food means vegetarian, non-vegetarian, combination, vegan. அது இப்போ என்னெல்லாமோ சொல்றாங்க இல்லையா? Vegan. I am a vegetarian but only eat egg. That is another kind. என்னெல்லாமோ there are 200. Vegetarian. என்னெல்லாமோ. But I am a non-vegetarian but eat only chicken. But I am a vegetarian. I don't know what you will call that man now. Nevertheless, your child is a product of all these. No, it's not only that. It went into you. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva. I am the digestifier sitting inside you, digesting the food. Therefore, even that material is from that. I am the doer. Unnecessarily in between you are coming and saying, my child. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva, he says in the 15th chapter, you are only eating, but who is digesting? I am doing that. Therefore, who is the actual doer? I create that, I digest, and I keep moving. Who are you in between? Just a goods carrier. You are only a goods carrier, like the truck. Carry the good from one to the other. You are that. How many fathers I have had in the past? In Yoga Vasishtha, Rama says, how many fathers I have had in the past? How much more I am going to have in the future? How many mothers I have had in the past? How much more I am going to have in the future? In this long line of fathers, you are one Dasharatha. In the long line of mothers, you are one Kausalya. Which father is the father? In the long line of fathers, even there you can't claim. Even so, from any angle if you look at it, it's so logically clear that you can't claim ownership. But as soon as I say we'll meet next week, all the ownership that is given away, we're waiting here, just waiting here, waiting there. Don't worry. Very soon it will go, he says. I am not giving that guarantee. He is giving that guarantee. Very soon it will. Okay?